Hey, here we are, Chiropractic Lifestyle Revolution. We're creating a revolution. I got a revolutionary leader here. Adam, I met you. I think we came face to face first time. It was a year ago. It was like, dude, we're brothers from another mother, of course. Of course, your name ends in a value, DelTorto, right? So, hey, we're all town. It was an instant connection, but not just because of that, because of your heart. I mean, you're purpose driven, you're principled. You built a phenomenal world class experience. Chiropractic rocks. And man, you're doing your best to get the principle out there and create amazing principled docs creating lifestyle patients.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. It's an honor to be on. And yeah, but that's what it's all about, Fred, right? That's what makes us separate and distinct from every other health profession is our philosophies and principles, right?
Well, absolutely, man. And when I'm on coaching calls, I tell people, the problem with healthcare that's different with chiropractic is people have a health problem, they go to a doctor, whoever they go to, they get a result, and then they quit. And chiropractic's not like that. We have to completely change their belief system, right? And the principle is lifestyle.
Exactly. The thing is there's a method to it though, because they come in with one goal, which is to get out of pain. They don't know everything that we're talking about right here. They think that we're headaches, neck pain, and back pain. That's what they think we are. And you know what? We're pretty damn good at getting rid of that too, and addressing that problem. But what it's like Dane Donahue always said, give them what they want, but show them what they could have. They come in with one goal, you address that goal, but while they're there, you educate them about what chiropractic really is, the way you and I understand it, based on the principles and philosophies of chiropractic.
Well, and you know this, man, because you've had all these leaders on your stage, all these guys that are so principled have the biggest, most successful practices. They're taking care of families, they got boatloads of kids running around, and they're making a difference in generations. And that's what this is about. Are you there to close a patient? Or are you there because every generation after them will go to a chiropractor first?
You just nailed it with that. It's chiropractic first, because I can't even, when I was out on Catalina, I was a doctor on Catalina out there for a while, and nobody would go to the hospital. They didn't trust the hospital. So everything that should have went up to the hospital walked through my front door. And I was forced to treat every single one of those disorders or diseases or entities or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
And you know how many of those responded favorably to chiropractic without drugs, without surgery, without whatever therapy they had up there. They came into me first, and I was just, thrust into the mix of having to address their health problems. And I'm telling you, man, no one understands that chiropractic works more than me, because I was the doctor on Catalina.
Like, which ones got better? All of them. That's which ones
all
got better. All of them got better. So, hey, we want to have them know the person behind the mission and the person behind the purpose. So, how'd you become a chiropractor? What's your story? And then, you're a real principled guy, man. And now you have this big purpose to put on this massive event every year. Give us your timeline and show us what your story was and how you got to where you are today.
Well, when I was in high school, I played football. I was a wrestler, and I got injured playing sports. And instead of taking me to a medical doctor, my mother took me to a chiropractor. First time I'd ever been to a chiropractor. And I was just so amazed at how this man could heal people with just using his hands. It was almost biblical. And, so I started going to the chiropractor. And the more influence he had over me, the more I decided that that's what I wanted to do.
Let me ask you a question. Did you know your mom was already going to a chiropractor before you got injured?
My mom was not going to a chiropractor. She just took me to the chiropractor.
Oh, isn't that fast?
So
someone told her?
No, she just said, "Hey, we're not going. We're going to go see this doctor who I think might be more suited to address this problem. Instead of giving me drugs or whatever else they were giving me, this guy actually went in and fixed the problem got me back on the field, and it was literally miraculous. And I was so just blown away at how he could heal me with just his hands, with nothing more than his hands. And from that point forward, I just knew I wanted to be a chiropractor. So from the age of 17 on, my whole focus in life was just to be a chiropractor.
Amazing. So you go to school. I mean, back then, because we've been around a few years.
Sometime around the fall of the Roman Empire, I think is
somewhere around there. Luckily, we got out. So you get chiropractic. So you're pretty young. Would you graduate? You were like 23 or something. I mean,
yeah, 24 years old. Yeah, I went right through. I went back to school. I went back east to New York Chiropractic College, which was affiliated with an undergraduate school called New York Institute of Technology, little local yokel, like almost commuter college. And I moved all the way from Southern California to New York Tech, went to 3 years of undergraduate, and then went into chiropractic school before I got my bachelor's degree, and then went back to New York Tech and took another like 4 classes and got my bachelor's degree. So yeah, at the age of 24, I was a chiropractor practicing in Oyster Bay, Long Island, right next to Bob Hoffman there. He was right down the street. Actually, he was in 10th trimester when I was in first trimester. So he's had a huge influence on me also.
Oh my God, man. Another huge philosophy leader, right? For decades. Very philosophically based. Great guy.
Well, and we call it philosophy, but it's really science. I mean, everything that we talk about, we talk about DD, we talk about BJ. DD was the man. Everybody thinks BJ was the man. DD was a genius. I mean, that guy was so intuitive, and he got it way back, way before BJ even came around. BJ took the ball and ran with it, but DD was the one who put us on the map. And he was just at such a high level of intelligence, and he understood chiropractic, quote, philosophy at a scientific level way back in the 1800s.
I mean, well, he understood energy flow, man, and magnetism, and how nerve energy works, right? Because it's the polarity that makes nerve transmission, and he understood how whole universal energy works. Because when you look at universal intelligence, what's another word for universal intelligence? God.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Intelligence. What's another thing for Genesis 1:27? We're created in likeness and image, right? The philosophy is a spiritual principle.
So you want to know what I'm doing with my time, Fred? This is what I'm doing with my time. I'm learning the 33 principles again.
Awesome.
And I read them every single day because the thing is that even though we do call it philosophy, and we were talking about this before we came on, is that if you want to be a successful chiropractor, you basically just have to tell your patients the story of chiropractic because it makes so much sense. You tell them the story of chiropractic, you tell them how chiropractic works. Yeah, we're good at treating neck pain, back pain, and headaches, but what it's really meant to do is optimize health by giving, health is how you function. And the primary governing system in your body that controls every body function is your nervous system. So if you have an optimal functioning nervous system, you have optimal health. And you explain that to the patient. I gave you the short version of it, but I have my whole, 1 hour, what I call back talk. And by the time I'm done, people come up to me and they're like, oh my God, I've never heard that before. No one's ever explained it to me like that before. And it makes so much sense.
Yeah, and then okay, you're signing up, bringing your kids. Now that you get it. Yeah.
And it becomes a lifestyle. Because the greatest miracle of chiropractic is the story that's never told, because people don't get sick from things they would have gotten sick from because they get adjusted, and that's how they embrace that. You know what I'm saying? They own that. And it's not like I have to even talk them into it anymore. They're telling me that. It's like, Doc, how you feeling today, Doc? I'm great. Okay, cool. I just want to keep feeling great. I want to stay healthy. Chiropractic is a lifestyle. You nailed it with that, Fred.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And there's, when you think about it, I'm going to back up to what we were talking about earlier. It's a spiritual principle. And then you think, okay, is there any disease God can't heal? No, that's an adjustment. You're releasing the power of the whole freaking universe. You just got connected, and this is, I'll date us, but remember when, way back when I practiced, cars still had antennas, and I used to tell.
Wait a minute, your car doesn't have an antenna? Mine
No,
does.
the one in the backyard does. No,
That's hilarious.
with the rear axle off on cinder blocks. But and I would say now, if you broke that antenna, it's no different than Wi-Fi. Today, back then, I'd say if you broke that antenna, what would the reception on your radio be like? I'm like, that's the whole universe moving through. That's like a bent spine. How can the whole universe, how can God move through you and heal every cell in your body if your antenna's bent? That's like Joe Borio, man. So simple. Crooked is sick. Real simple message. Today, it's like Wi-Fi. Hey, ever go through a dead zone? Yeah, that's what happened when you're subluxated. You got a dead zone in your body.
Yeah, and I used to tell him it's I hate to use the example, but look at poor Christopher Reeves, right? That poor guy. I mean, fell off a horse, separated his central nervous system from the rest of his body. Every one of the organ systems in his body worked. You could have taken his kidney and transplanted into you, his heart transplanted into you. All of those organ systems work, but what was missing was the connection to the nervous system to tell him how to work. And then you take a less radical example of that, and you just get a vertebrae that gets misaligned and puts pressure on a nerve root. So instead of the organ system hearing the message like this, it hears it like this. You can still hear it, but you can't hear it clearly. So after a while,
it's a great demonstration, man.
Yeah, and so what it does is it impedes that nerve impulse to that liver. So it sets up what we chiropractors call a situation called dis-ease, which is synonymous with dysfunction. And long-term dis-ease is what gives rise to disease. That's how you get sick, because over a long period of time, that organ system will break down and will develop into a disease process. You don't get sick from the outside in. You get sick from the inside out. And when you explain that to people, it just makes so much sense, and then they get it, and not all of them are gonna gravitate toward it. I remember Reggie Gold. I went to see Reggie Gold. I got there late, and he told me I was not going to get CEs because I got there late. And I'm like, Reggie, I got all the CEs in the world. I don't need CEs. I came here to see you. And his eyes welled up, and my eyes welled up. We're like, and the only seat available was front row center right in front of Reggie. And I swear to God, after that, all he did was look at me and talk to me the entire seminar. And his philosophy, he would only accept 1 out of 10 patients. 1 out of 10. The other 9 he sent away. And on the first visit, his initial visit, practice. His initial visit was a 1-hour back talk, like philosophy back talk, who I learned from Bob Hoffman, by the way. And at the end of that 1-hour talk, either they were patients for life, or he just wasn't the chiropractor for them. And the thing is, you do that over 5, 10, 15 years, you're seeing 1,000 patients a week. And
that won't leave.
Right, because they get it.
No matter what the government says, close your door, or what shot you. Those people, that's 1,000 people that aren't getting shots.
Yeah, and those are 1,000 people that are living long, productive lives and don't get sick every flu season and don't catch a cold. I mean, it's so funny when people call me. When patients call and they're like, "Oh, I can't come in today. I have a cold. I can't come in today. I'm sick." I'm like, "Where have I failed with you? That's when you need to be in here. Get your ass down here and let's remove that subluxation so that you can recover quicker." And after you do that like 2 or 3 times, then they start to get it.
Hey, I want to point out something, because doctors, and I always tell coaching clients this: your title is your enemy. Your title is your barrier. Because listen to what you just said. You didn't give them patient education. You're like, shit, where did I fail? Get your ass down here. That's not patient education. That's influence, right? As opposed to, well, you could get adjusted. We'll build your immune system. They don't care, but get your ass down here.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get you sick, Doc. I don't get sick. I get adjusted. I'm not going to get sick. It's not the germ that gets you sick. It's your compromised immune system because of a subluxated vertebrae. That's what gets you sick. Oh, that's right. Remember when oh, that's right. You said that in the back talk class. Yeah, I did. Now it's starting to come.
That's why right now I'm fixing the subluxation between your ears. So you can
Right.
come and fix the one in your body, and then we don't have to have this conversation.
Which I do that too, Fred. With the balloons.
Yeah. But man, I probably need it again. Okay, so now you're 24. Let's get back to the story. And you're out and you're like, wow, okay, I'm ready to change the world, man. What happened? Where'd you find your philosophy?
Buddy, I started going to Parker seminars. In 1984, I went to my first Parker seminar and I sat right in the front row and I listened to Jim Parker, Reggie Gold, Sid Williams, Jim Zigafus, Charlie Ward, who else was up there? Fred Barge. I mean, I sat front row center and I felt like those guys were only talking to me. I'm not even kidding. I wrote down every single word they said. And it's funny because I'm fortunate that I came from a college that had an amazing philosophy program. New York Chiropractic College back in the day, they had Frank P. DiGiacomo was the most amazing philosophical influencer that I've ever met in my life, above all the rest of those that I just mentioned. That guy owned it, and he just had such an influence and impact on my life, so that when I went to Parker, it was easy to absorb that and incorporate that way of thinking as a reinforcement from what I already learned in chiropractic school. But brother, I wrote all that stuff down, and I was saying that, wow, someday these guys are going to be gone, and who's going to carry the torch forward? And the thing is that they are gone now. Every single one of those guys is dead, and who's left but us? It's you and I, Fred, and we're already at that level.
I mean, I went to DE, right? I mean, I was in California. DE was in Atlanta. That was in the Sid Williams days. Same thing, Sigafus and Hoffman and Jimmy Gregg, and you go on, and Ian Grossum, and and all those old guys, which those guys, man, they kind of paved the road that we drive on, like they were practicing, I mean, I became a chiropractor in the 80s when insurance covered, that was easy, but they were fighting, 20 years before that. Like those guys were warriors, man. But that old school philosophy, I mean, I credit everything that I do today to listening to those guys at DE. They were seeing 1,500, 2,000 a week. And I remember thinking one day they're going to be dead. Who's going to replace them? And then I was talking to a buddy. It's like, shoot, now we're the old guys.
Yeah, no. And the thing is that they were us. They were the young guys that stood on the shoulders of the pioneers before them, the guys that went to jail, the warriors that were willing to sacrifice everything to uphold the principles and philosophies of chiropractic. They had such conviction. And the thing is, they weren't any better chiropractors than you and I or any of us. It wasn't their adjusting skills that made them good chiropractors. It was their love for chiropractic. All they did was breathe, love and breathe chiropractic 24/7, and it was they understood that they were part of something that was bigger than themselves or bigger than any one of us individually. And they had such conviction for what they did. And that's what made them great.
It's that, BJ talks about the adjustment with the extra something, right? It's that intention. It's the state you're in when you adjust someone. And I know you're like this, where, I look at, if I'm adjusting you, your body's healing. Whatever you're complaining about, it's going to be gone. And I'm not talking about the pain. I'm talking your asthma is going to stop. Your nose is going to stop running. That stomach ache's going to be gone. that fever, of course, it just makes your body work better, right? But I mean, we've had people under 3.5 fever, adjust them, boom, 10 minutes, they have a normal temperature. So,
Oh man, every day, all day, every day. But see, the new
yeah.
chiropractors don't understand that. I'm just going there and they're just hitting everything, hitting every bone.
Or
It's,
just moving bones as opposed to creating a healing experience.
right. And it all goes down to having that intention, that specificity of the adjustment with that philosophical intent while you're administering that adjustment. And that's where the healing takes place. That's the difference between a healer and just a mechanistic doctor.
Absolutely, man. I remember thinking, God, who had the biggest chiropractic practice in history? I'm like, Jesus. I'm like, how did that dude walk into a town basically with just his entourage and then have thousands of people following him and thronging him? Like, can I just touch your robe, or calling out to him to be healed? I'm like, I want to be like that dude. I want to have a practice.
You are like that dude, brother. I mean, read the Bible. Look at the miracles that he would perform. He touched the blind man, he could see. Put his hands on the deaf man, he could hear. Placed his hands on the crippled man, he could walk. I've seen every one of those miracles in my office. I'm not even kidding. And I don't know who Jesus Christ was exactly, but I'll tell you one thing, Fred. He was a damn good chiropractor.
Yeah, he was. That was truly a divine healer. So yeah, I mean, when you're looking at that, you put yourself in that state. That's what people would lay face down. I put my hand in the middle of their back and I kneel down to them. And I would or I'd bend over, I'd say, great, see you today. But as soon as I put my hand on their back, I'm like, you're already healed. Now I'm going to make the adjustment. So, and I know you're like that, right? You expect a healing because, and remember, that's Gonstead. Excuse my throat's a little scratchy.
That's right.
You would say, never question the principle. You only question the application, right? When you stop questioning the principle, and it says in the Bible, if you have no doubt, right, with a word, you can cast the mountain into a sea. And that's people's problems, is they doubt. They doubt themselves. And the principle is bigger than you. You don't ever have to doubt the principle. The principle is way bigger than you. Put your hands on them, release the principle inside them, and they're going to heal. And then tell them why they healed. Tell them what you're doing, and that healing energy is moving through them. There's something way bigger than the both of us is moving through you right now. In fact, it's in all of us.
And the thing is I just love what you just said right there, because just saying that to someone, even if if they understand it the way you understand it, just the fact that you're part of their day makes them feel better. Just your energy, that transfer of healing energy. You don't even have to touch them, Fred. Just being in your presence makes them feel better, as opposed to like going the medical route in a sterile, condescending environment where they sit across the desk and how dare you come in here and be sick on my watch and take this and see the nurse on the way out. Where we're giving them love, man. That old saying is that when all else fails, love them. And when that fails, love them some more. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Absolutely.
There's such healing energy in that because we care.
Well, and the size of your practice is dependent on how many people you can love in one day.
Absolutely.
That's really it. How much love can you pour out in one day? That will determine the size of your practice. If you're in your head, you're probably hitting a glass ceiling. You see your potential, but you don't know how to get there because you're in your head and not in your heart. Chiropractic is a heart thing.
I'm stealing that. I'm stealing that one, brother. That's a good one. You're what is it? You're in your head, not in your heart. Is that what you said?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
because you're in your head and you're not in your heart. The thing is, I every patient that I adjusted, and it wasn't even like, it was like an unwritten just understanding. Like if it was a guy, I'd shake their hand and we'd give each other a hug. Every patient, whether it be male, female, little kid, old man, they would hug me on the way out. And it wasn't even like, okay, we're going to hug now. It was just automatic because it's such a loving type of healing. you know.
You know,
And,
it's
and when I was in,
fascinating.
when I
Because
was in Catalina, I was adjusting little babies right out of the womb. And now those little babies are grandparents. That's how many generations I was out in Catalina. I can still remember, like, there was this one little girl that I used to adjust. She was like, they started when she was like one because they got it. When I told the story, they got it. And it would be, I'm standing on Front Street in Catalina, and all I hear was, Dr. Adam, Dr. Adam. And the whole crowd would part, and this little 3-year-old girl would run up and jump up and give me a hug.
that's
Well, she just had her second kid, and what do you think they did? She brought her baby right in from the birthing center, right in to get checked, just
that's
like she did. Which it's like, you know, you never know the influence of what you're going to have on people's lives
oh my God.
ever. What you think, say, or do, and how that's going to impact people's lives. And I know, I'm sorry, I don't mean to steal the show here, but I think about that with that chiropractor that adjusted me right back when I was 17 years old. He doesn't even have a clue of just the
The impact.
tsunami of impact that he's had. I mean, we've got 7 chiropractors in our family. I was the one. They all became chiropractors because of me. I sent another 6 of my patients to chiropractic school. That's 13 more chiropractors that are in this world because of that guy, and he probably doesn't even have a clue. And think of all the chiropractors they're going to, all their patients that they're going to influence to become chiropractors, and so on and so on. Just because that one guy that adjusted me when I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
And
That's why it's
we
lifestyle,
all have that influence on all of our patients, and it's exponential. You know what I'm saying?
well, that's the whole thing, right? Do you look at it, you get a new patient, are you just glad they showed up on Monday? Or is your daily visit talk about lifestyle? And are you calling out the people that you know are healers that are looking for a purpose, talking to them about becoming a chiropractor, and that when you go in your clinic every day with a purpose to affect generations long after your life, like you look at that little 3-year-old, now that 3-year-old's grown up and she has a kid, that kid's going to grow up. Like you look at, that's going to last beyond your lifetime.
Generations, brother.
Yeah. Do you go
Generations.
in with that? Is that your intention?
You know,
So
one of the things that I asked from the stage at Chiropractic Rocks is, how many of your patients, how many of your young patients do you talk to about becoming a chiropractor? And you know what my answer is to that? Every single one of them. Every single one of them that walks in my office, I start the conversation. So, what are you going to do when you grow up? Oh, I'm not really sure yet. I go, you ever think about being a chiropractor? And they're like, yeah, no, not really. And I go, here's a book. I'm going to give you this book. I write a little something in it, and it's Chiropractic First is the name of the book. I don't know if you
yeah,
saw it when it came out. It was Chiropractic First.
that's an old book.
And I ordered probably, I don't know, 50 of them. And every time I run out, I order another 50. And I would just hand those to the patient. I go, here, read this. And then I would give them that I don't know if it's a Ted Koren book or what, but it was the leaflet with Masha and Dasha in it.
Oh
I
yeah.
had that little story of Masha and
Well,
Dasha.
that's old time, man.
Man, am I aging myself? I
Yeah.
mean, I still have an antenna on my truck, bro.
Oh, that's old. Yeah, there you go. And it works. And it's not bent. How cool is that? Okay, man. So now you spent all these years. So I mean, you basically described your whole practice and you probably 20 some odd years. So what was the impetus for Chiropractic Rocks?
Well, I mean, I would go to all these seminars and all these conventions, and Parker has changed. All the legends are gone, and the message is different now. And I mean, that was the thing that inspired me and fired me up. And I would go home and I would just be so on fire. And the old saying is, when you catch fire, people love to watch you burn.
Oh
And then
yeah.
I started going to like all these other conventions, and I would come home and I just wasn't on fire anymore. It's like, what happened to that motivation, to that inspiration, to that message that lit me up and made me fall in love with chiropractic again? And so basically that was it. is that, I mean, our whole intention with Chiropractic Rocks is to help shape the future of chiropractic and create the next generation of chiropractic legends. I
Yeah,
mean,
principle.
that is our mission statement right there. Who's
Absolutely.
going to be the next legend of chiropractic? We got to stop looking around our profession for leaders and actually become one. It's step up and fill the shoes of the greats that went before us. Because you know what? They filled the shoes of the greats that went before them. They weren't just born that way. They got that message from the generation before them. And so it's our obligation to help preserve the future of chiropractic, or at least spread the word and shout the message from the stage and from the rooftops, so that they have at least they've heard it, because they're not cool,
Yeah.
and they
Well,
need to
that's
follow.
our responsibility. It's like what you said. It's like, look at all the chiropractors that fought for what we have today. And
Right,
some
and
of those
sacrifice.
schools don't teach, the schools don't teach principle, man. Like, you don't even know you have. I mean, there's so many chiropractors getting in school because now it's popular. Well, it's a great career. You know what I mean? And you look at, man, the principle will create heaven on earth. Like, this can be the new healthcare system. And anybody says, well, pharmacies are too big. No, man, it's all crashing. The truth always prevails. We have to stay consistent, stay passionate, stay convicted, because the old world is crashing and we're rising up into the new world.
Well, I love that, by the way, what you just said. And, in my practice, what I did is I would have everybody come to the back talk. So at least they had the option. It was my obligation to at least give them the option to incorporate chiropractic as a lifestyle. You owe it to them. It's your obligation to at least give them that choice. Okay. But then after a while, it got to the point where I didn't want to be an urgent care doctor anymore, Fred. I would tell people, look, I'll get you out of pain. I'm really good at getting you out of pain. But if you come in pain, that's urgent care, and you're going to pay urgent care prices. That's all there is to it. I'm charging you for urgent care. So, or you can schedule on your way out the door for your next lifestyle adjustment, your wellness adjustment. And I'm only going to charge, I would charge them $20 less for a lifestyle adjustment than I would for an urgent care adjustment. And you know what? All you got to do is charge one person an urgent care price one time, and they become lifestyle chiropractic patients.
Isn't that amazing? That's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, what a strong emotional anchor.
Yeah, and it wasn't because I was in it for the money. I was in it for their well-being.
No,
I
I know.
sincerely
I
wanted them to be
man,
well.
but geez, that's a freaking. I'm gonna put that in our team manual.
I already have it written out for you. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, give them lifestyle. Give them a lifestyle fee. How do you make a person a lifestyle patient in one that 15-second conversation?
And that was it. And some of those people didn't believe me. They would do their typical, I'll call you when I'm in pain. And they came in and they got the bill, and they're like, and we charge them on the way in. So there's no issues. We address all the issues on the way in the door, not on the way out the door. And they're sitting there, they go, what do you mean $85? Yeah, well, I mean, this is urgent care. You're paying urgent care prices. And you don't want to pay 85. We'll charge you 65 if you schedule on the way out the door for your next wellness adjustment. And I'm telling you, I built my whole practice that way.
Oh,
My whole practice was the majority of was wellness patients who just scheduled on the way out the door for their next wellness adjustment. Yeah. And they loved me for it. And they would come in, it was like, all right, doc, let's check my spine. Yeah. And I'm telling you, man, those patients are so much happier. They feel so much love. I mean, when you're not feeling good, when your health is compromised, it affects your whole family. It affects everyone you come in contact with. It affects your people at work. I mean, I know you've heard this before, but I often wonder if Hitler would have gotten adjusted because that guy suffered from migraines and he was like in pain and like headaches all the time. He was miserable. Just imagine if somebody would have just adjusted that guy, how different world history would be.
Yeah, wouldn't that be amazing? So, so anyway, yeah. So when was your first Chiropractic Rocks? Tell people about it. What's you basically told the purpose. When's your next experience? How do they get tickets?
You know, my first Chiropractic Rocks, brother, I'll tell you what, the most, it was the most all-star lineup of speakers anywhere on any stage ever. But I didn't know anything about, holding the convention. So I had it right after Parker, right after Billy D and Cal Jam. And then mine was the next month in Reno, and we had like such an all-star lineup. It was insane. And I think I like maybe 85 people showed up, but what I did is like, you know what, I'm going to make the best of this. I took out I rented the hotel suite upstairs, had a pool table, had the whole deal, and all the speakers and all the attendees and vendors all went up there, and it was so tight quartered, and we just partied hard, and it was such connection that was made there. It ended up being like one of the best conventions ever. But that was Reno. Then the following year, I think was COVID, right? They shut everybody down for COVID, and then
in LA.
and then the third year it was still COVID, and they weren't allowing anybody to congregate. They were in LA. They were only allowing like 200 people under one roof, and then you had to have all these stipulations. And so I called my mentor George Curry, and he calls me and he goes, buddy, just cancel it. Just cancel the convention. The thing is it's going to be a dud. Nobody's going to show up, and that's going to be what people think of Chiropractic Rocks. It's COVID. They'll understand. And I'm like, all right. So the first speaker I called was Howard Cohn. And Howard Cohn, I get on the phone. I go, hey, Howard, COVID, we're not going to have Chiropractic Rocks this year. And he goes, what? He goes, I got one question for you. He goes, does chiropractic rock or does chiropractic suck? I'm like, what? And he goes, what would BJ do? He goes, BJ rode an elephant down Brady Street to stand for chiropractic. He goes, BJ erected a tent in the middle of the summer in the sweltering heat in Davenport, Iowa, and attracted over 10,000 people to preach the word of chiropractic. He goes, are you going to yield to the system or are you going to stand up to the man? And I'm like, ready to follow that guy into battle knowing I was going to die. And I go, all right, Howard, Chiropractic Rocks is on. It's back on. And we threw it, and the hotel told me, they go, okay, everybody has to have a 72-hour negative COVID test. I'm like, okay. They go, everybody's got to wear a mask. I'm like, no problem. Everybody's got to stand 6 feet apart. I'm like, sure. They go, everybody has to have a vaccine card. I'm like, absolutely. And only 200 people under one roof. I'm like, you got it. We showed up. We didn't do one of those things, not one. And the lady came down and she's like, hey, where's the mask? Where's the 6 feet? She goes, I don't want to see anything. And she turned around and walked away. And it was the most amazing seminar convention ever. That was the year before you came. You came the next year.
Yeah.
And it actually kind of took a little dip that year. I don't know why, but the year before, buddy, that place was on fire.
That's because you had CEs, man. There's no more CEs. We're going hardcore philosophy.
I'm with you 100%. I don't think there's ever going to be another CE in another Chiropractic Rocks convention. And you're on stage, brother. Yeah. You're going to kick it off.
Yeah,
we need your energy and your love and your experience and just your enthusiasm for chiropractic, bro. It's contagious. First time I saw you speak was in Atlanta at Clint Steele's thing, and I was like, damn, this dude rocks, bro. I mean, I was so impressed by you. Yeah. And I got your book. I got to admit, I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but it's sitting right on the top of my stack. So
hey, it might be your new book instead of Chiro First.
Yeah, well, it probably will be. Yeah. Now that I'm retired, but I mean, I already own it just like you do. But, so Chiropractic Rocks, we took a year off. I moved up here to beautiful North Idaho. And, bro, it was just too much to cram into 1 year. So now we got a running start. We're going to do it again in June of next year. I just talked to the lady. I don't want to do it in California, but it seems like that's where the biggest draw is. So there's a studio in downtown LA. where I don't have to commit to a certain number of hotel rooms. And we've already gotten the ball rolling. So we don't have any speakers yet. Maybe we just got our first speaker right here, on this podcast.
I was already planning on it.
Second speaker, actually. I'm first.
Yeah. So, hey, I really appreciate you being on here, man. You know, the whole point of this chiropractic lifestyle revolution is to create a lifestyle movement, to bring the principle back. Man, if you just talk the principle, lifestyle becomes automatic. Kids become automatic. Spouses become automatic. Mothers, fathers, grandmothers, all of that becomes automatic. It's just you got to, like I said, move from your head to your heart, speak with love as many people as you can every day, bring the message out. There's a whole world of subluxated people, man. You know, if you're having trouble building your practice because you're not out in aisle 4 of, you know, Whole Foods talking to somebody about, you know, not setting up a screening, but I mean, and you're like this, man. Don't you attract people that all of a sudden somebody you don't even know standing next to you, and then next thing you know, you're talking about chiropractic?
Every conversation is chiropractic, brother. Every conversation when I'm out is chiropractic.
Exactly. And we don't practice. So I'm referring people every week to chiropractic.
And that's it. You know, it's the old saying, chiropractic isn't what I do. Chiropractic is who I am.
Absolutely.
You know, so when I'm in the store, when I'm standing in line at the movie theater, the conversation is always directed toward chiropractic. You know why? Because every spine needs chiropractic care. Absolutely. Every spine needs chiropractic care. Oh, you know, I don't need. I'm not in pain right now. Well, it wasn't raining when Noah built the ark, buddy. You know, so
dude,
why wait till
awesome?
Yeah. So why wait till it starts raining? You're going to drown yourself to death. It's so much easier to stay well than it is to try to get well. And I'm here to keep you alive. You know what? I'll add 10 years to your life with every adjustment. And I say that in the office, like I'll adjust them. I'm like, I just added 10 years to your life. And they're like, and they just get up and give me a big hug. Cause you know why? I own it, bro. I own it. I own chiropractic. You are it. Yeah, and when you own it like that, when you have that kind of conviction and you have that kind of energy and you're on fire like that, people gravitate towards you. And I'm serious. Some people are better adjusters than others. It doesn't matter. Just the fact that they're part of your day, that they're part of you're part of their day, makes them feel better than if they didn't come in and you did nothing at all. Just giving them a hug.
Yeah, they're already healed better. It's the front door.
You know, chiropractic rocks, baby. I'm telling you right now. That's where the name came from. People were trying to say, "Oh, is that like an offshoot of Cal Jam?" I'm like, "No, man, no." No, you know where it came from? It was like my mom. I got her this little thing up at the fair that said, "My mom rocks," and it was like this little picture. And and she was standing there holding it, and she's got it up on her wall. And I was just sitting there looking at it one day, going, "Man, my mom rocks." And then for some reason, chiropractic came to mind. I was like, you know what? Chiropractic rocks. And it just became the name of this movement. And that's what it is. It's a movement that's going to perpetuate long after you and I leave this earth, Fred. You know, it's our obligation to perpetuate the word of chiropractic and make sure that we help shape the future and create the next generation of chiropractic legends. You and I together, brother, we're going to do that.
Yeah. The next generation in the whole world, not even just chiropractors, yes, and in all of humanity. So cool, man. Thank you so much for being on. Thank you for being part of this movement. We all support you. And as you get closer to the final date, do you have the final date? Is there somewhere they can go, or we'll come back and we'll do this again right before when everything is solid?
Absolutely. I'm going to hold you to that, but we're talking usually we have it the second week of June is the date that we usually have that. And now like I said, we got plenty of time to promote it and get the word out. And it's just going to be a growing movement. Just it's going to be the thing that helps shape the future of our profession, brother.
Awesome. Hey, go to the Chiropractic Lifestyle Revolution YouTube, subscribe. Please share these videos with all other chiropractors you know. Just go ahead and forward them, and stay tuned because we're having another Saturday event, which is what kicked this whole revolution off. We'll probably have 7 or 8 back-to-back speakers, fast, hardcore. You will be different at the end. Keep an eye on your email, and let's all create a new world with chiropractic. Love you guys.
Here, here. Love you, brother.